Good evening, everyone. Okay, let's try it again. Good evening, everyone. Hello. There we go. Just make sure everybody's alive and aware. Welcome to our September 20th, 2022 meeting of the Murrieta City Council. At this time, I'd like Mr. Bart, I'd like you to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I could take roll, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Councilmember White.
Going for speed.
Yep.
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Warren.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem DeForest, I apologize.
Here.
Mayor Ingram.
I am here.
Let the record reflect all members are present.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could please have Pastor Rangel please come on.
Good evening, Pastor.
Evening. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we cordially invite you and thank you for your attendance here at our City Council meeting for the City of Murrieta. Lord, what is to be discussed this evening is important to our citizens, environment, our business, and Lord, give wisdom to each council member as they discuss, meditate, research, and make decisions that affect our city's growth. And Lord, bless our service members who stand ready to give their lives for our freedom to have this meeting here this evening. And bless our first responders who do the same for all of us here tonight. And we ask and give thanks in Jesus' holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and present a proclamation now to our BMW dealership of Murrieta. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe Mr. Agajanian is going to be presenting.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say I'm excited tonight. Now, if you know me, I'm very rarely excited, but this is a big night. We are here to celebrate BMW of Murrieta. Now, BMW of Murrieta is not just a very important Murrieta business. They're a very important regional business. They have been with us for quite some time, but they're here to celebrate the fact that they have earned the Center of Excellence Awards, which means they're one of the top BMW dealerships in America 8 years in a row. And with that, we have a proclamation to read. Whereas the City of Murrieta is proud to recognize those businesses who have made a mark in our city by their economic investment and community involvement. It's you, Boris. Whereas the City of Murrieta recognizes that Boris Said has distinguished himself as a premier race car driver in several professional racing series and disciplines. And whereas established in the City of Murrieta in 2011 by Boris Said, BMW of Murrieta is a consecutive 8-time recipient of the prestigious Center of Excellence Award. And whereas the Center of Excellence Award is given to less than 10% of BMW's more than 350 dealers in the United States. And whereas BMW of Murrieta is committed to delivering a first-in-class experience in sales, service, and customer service in their state-of-the-art facility. And whereas the City of Murrieta values local businesses that create jobs, boost our economy, and preserve our communities. Now, therefore, on behalf of our mayor and city council, we'd like to acknowledge the contributions of Boris Said of BMW of Murrieta to the community of Murrieta and thank them for the accomplishment of being selected as the consecutive 8-time winner of the BMW Center of Excellence Award.
Thank you.
So for the most that don't know, Hendricks Motorsports is involved with our BMW dealership here, and I wanted Boris to elaborate a little on that. But Boris has done more than raced cars. He's been a working member of this community for a long time now. He helps when it comes to philanthropic events. He's here to support the city. He certainly brought money and income in and revenue to help with the daily needs of all the things that we need in our city. So I wanted to take the time to personally thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The one thing I'd like to say is, I've been a race car driver for 35 years. I didn't know anything about the car business or working with a city when I started this, over 12 years ago. And people used to always ask me, what's Murrieta like? Because I go all over the world, and I go, it's a big city with a small town feel. And I can't list everybody's name in this building, but your staff and everybody that's helped us along the way, I mean, it really seems like, together we're stronger than any one person. And that's kind of how I feel. You've been a really good partner, and it's just a great city. And everyone in here, all the men and women that work in this building have been a big part of our success. And hopefully we can continue to serve the community for a long time.
Let's get some photos.
All right.
You tried tripping me, didn't you? Okay, Mr. Nordstrom. So much to say. So many years of service. So was it 2 months ago now that you retired? 3 months already. See how fast time goes by, huh? I know. So whereas Ken Nordstrom started his Boy Scout service in Detroit, Michigan by joining the Cub Scouts in May of 1950, whereas Ken Nordstrom moved to California in 1952, where he continued scouting by joining a pack in West Covina, achieving the final rank of Lion in 1953. During his years in scouting service, Ken Nordstrom joined troops 425, 453, 657, 658, as well as Pack 657 in Los Alamitos in 1980 as a committee member, whereas Ken Nordstrom attended 4 summer camps at Cherry Valley from 1955 through 1958, leading one of his troops through Cherry Valley for a summer camp in 1967. Ken Nordstrom was also elected in April of 1957 to become a member of the Order of the Arrow, achieving Eagle rank in December of 1959. Ken Nordstrom served as Assistant Scoutmaster, Scoutmaster, Cubmaster Chair, and member throughout the 56 years of his scouting services. Whereas Ken has achieved Eagle Scout Court of Honor in 1960. Whereas in 2015, Ken Nordstrom was awarded what is that called? Pronounced, Ken? You get that? I can't pronounce it, I apologize. Tockwitz, is that correct? Tockwitz? Tockwitz District. Thank you, sir. Tockwitz District Award. He also achieved Eagle Court of Honor in 1960. I got that already. So Ken Nordstrom has served our city of Murrieta for 3 years as a commissioner on our Public Safety and Traffic Commission. Therefore, let it be known that I, Mayor Jonathan Ingram, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Murrieta, hereby recognize and commit the committed dedication and inspiration of our boys and men with courage, confidence, and character, and I thank you from our City Council in our city. I can tell you that anytime I've looked at our field of honor, anything that I look at these young men and people in front of us today, he has taught generations on how to represent not only their city, but their country and the Boy Scouts. And it's an honor to call you a friend, and it was an honor to be at your event 3 months ago. And we wanted to make sure that we presented this here today so that everybody in the city had a chance to stand up and applaud and give this man the applause that he deserves. applause you for everything you do. We love you. And I have a feeling that you want to say a few words. Please, absolutely.
Everybody that knows me knows that I don't ever pass up a microphone. Hello. First off, I want to thank the Murrieta City Council and all of you who have come tonight to help me celebrate this special honor, and especially Mayor Ingram. We're not just friends on Facebook, but we're real friends. It was just about a year ago that I was here with some of the same scouts that are sitting in the audience with you to open the meeting using the flag that had flown over the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan, and I'm very glad to have been invited back. When I first started scouting, as Jonathan mentioned, I was 8 years old, living in Detroit, and my reason for joining Cub Scouts was very simple at the time. They had really cool uniforms. At the time, I had no idea how that decision would affect the rest of my life. When I joined Cub Scouts, Harry Truman was still in the White House. And a lot has changed in both scouting and the world since 1950. Almost 16 years ago, my grandson Parker came home from school in the second grade over at Buchanan Elementary here in Murrieta and told his mom that there was a Cub Scout pack that met at his school and they had cool uniforms. And he wanted to join. Now, since his dad was a second shift motor officer for the Highway Patrol here in Temecula, he couldn't take him to the meetings. So she told Parker that it would be okay as long as his grandfather, that would be me, closing in on Medicare eligibility at the time, could go with him. So with the approval of the most important person in my life, who's no longer with us, Patricia, she said, okay, you can do it. And Parker and I joined the Cub Scout Pack 614 here in Murrieta. And 3 years later, went to Troop 384, where I've been ever since. So you can tell that my being here tonight is all Parker's fault. However, Pat was my primary enabler, and everybody needs an enabler. And she kept everything going at home while I was out messing around with the boys. Now, those of you who didn't have the privilege of knowing her, she became legally blind in 1995 and still managed to run our household, keep her sense of humor, continue to create beautiful quilts, and maintain a degree of relative independence right up to just before she passed this last May. At no time during my time as an adult leader in scouting did I ever think that what I was doing was in any way out of the ordinary or noteworthy. To me, it was just what went with the job, a job that uses campouts, merit badges, and rank advancement to teach the fundamental values of scouting: integrity, personal responsibility, duty to God and country, responsible citizenship, to always do your best, to help other people at all times, and how to be prepared for life. Those are the values that set scouting apart from other groups and activities. To be honored here tonight for doing what just seemed natural to me is both unexpected and very humbling. I have been very privileged to have spent time with so many great scouts and scouters and with parents who trusted me with their sons, and for the joy of watching those boys grow into the great young men they have become. I would like to leave this audience with the one thought that I shared again earlier on June 6th. You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give. At the end of my Eagle Border Review in December of 1959, I was asked one of the standard questions, and that's, how do I plan to give back to scouting? My 17-year-old self had no clue back in 1959. But since then, I hope you agree that I've honored the Scout Oath and have done my best to give back not just to scouting, but to the community as well. And by the way, Jonathan, it was 6 years on the Traffic Commission, not 3. Saying no is a real hard thing for me to do. thank all of you for this special recognition, and it's been a pleasure to serve.
Yes, thank you very much, Ken, for your wise words, and thank you, Jonathan Ingram, for having us here. My name is Corey Uden. I'm here on behalf of both Assembly members Marie Waldron and Kelly Sayarto, and thank you for reading from the script so I could speak just a little bit more unscripted. And I remember when I got the information that Ken would be retiring, and they sent me the bio, and I said, well, this just has to be a resolution. And unfortunately, we couldn't get it to you there. So I'm really pleased to finally have the real resolution for you to hang for all your days. Thank you for your service.
Would the scouts like to come up really quick and get a picture with the scouts and say a few words, guys, if you want to?
It's one for the memory books. For sure. Just sit back. I could photobomb. Can you make scrunch in and stand a little like shoulder to shoulder?
Congratulations. An incredible story.
You must have had a badge for public speaking and writing.
Communication merit badge.
Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I've done with Murrieta.
Yes,
Through the
absolutely.
Murrieta.
Okay, so we're gonna move right along here. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda unless there are any questions. It would appear we have a motion and a second.
Oh, there's one here now. Let me see who is the most
We have 3
popular.
iPads for everyone who's remaining.
Yeah.
Councilmember White, if you could register your vote, please.
Okay, everybody else has got a bunch to the middle of the room, so we feel like we have an audience now. Feels hollow in here all of a sudden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Okay. So we had no closed session. We're going to go ahead. City Manager, administrative updates, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 this evening. I will first like to invite up Lieutenant Durant and Captain Henry to provide a presentation on unmanned aerial vehicles.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight we're going to talk to you about the Murrieta Police Department's Unmanned Aerial Systems Program. While not yet active, our goal tonight is to present it to you all, give you some information on what we're looking for, maybe generate some consensus, or any questions or concerns that you all may have. I'm going to start over. So the unmanned aerial systems is what we're going to present to you tonight. I don't want to assume everyone's as technically proficient as I am. I'll give some definitions up front so we're all on the same page. Unmanned aerial systems, basically it's three components. One is an aircraft with no pilot on board. The law enforcement refers to it as a UAV, or unmanned aerial vehicle. Consumers call them drones. The second component would be a remote electronic controller. And thirdly is the command and control system to link the two. So unmanned aerial systems covers a lot of stuff in between those three components: software, hardware, and a lot of other things. As far as the presentation tonight, I'm going to give you a quick background on the program, go over the purpose, some of the capabilities of UAVs, our intended uses, and most importantly, some public concerns that we want to make sure to get out in front of. As far as background, we began research into this program back in 2019. We sent a few officers to get their FAA license and go to a week-long operator school. We dragged our feet long enough now where the usage is pretty widespread now amongst public safety agencies. As you can see up there, RSO has a program along with Hemet, Menifee, Corona, Beaumont, Blythe, all within our county. Once you start going outside of our county, Orange, San Bernardino, San Diego, lots of agencies have a program like this already. We think a program like this checks a couple of boxes. One is the City Council's goal, providing a high level of innovative public safety. And secondly, the Police Department's goal of leveraging technology to fight crime and increase safety. Also, just as a reminder, the topic of UAVs came to Council earlier this year under the guise of California Assembly Bill 481. That's where law enforcement agencies need to seek approval from Council before using what they define as military equipment. And UAVs were in that approval. That actually comes to Council every year, in case you were wondering. So every year you'll have to approve the use of UAVs and all the other equipment. So the purpose of a program here, again, we want to be transparent and just get out in front. So the mission of the program is going to be to utilize technology to further enhance the operations capabilities of the department and to increase the safety of officers and members of the public. So we want a team that's versatile, that can accomplish many missions. These devices are capable of being outfitted with loudspeakers for announcements, floodlights for lighting up nighttime operations, thermal imaging, night vision, zoom cameras, et cetera. We also want a program that's flexible. As you can see later, there's many ways to use these devices, not just for enforcement activities. We also want a team that's reliable. We want a team that's highly trained and delivers consistent results and safe. The FAA has strict guidelines for these, for use of these, and we want to make sure we're meeting those and developing a safe program for those lucky enough to be part of the team. The bar is going to be high, and the expectations will be high also. And then a program that's growable. As we get into this and develop an accessible program, being able to build on it with increased technology use cases as time permits. So the capabilities of these devices, they have live feed video cameras you can take advantage of to stream video to officers or command posts. There's thermal imaging you can use to help locate persons outside or even hotspots for fires. They have high quality video and stills you can use to capture good evidentiary video as needed. Inclement weather, these are capable of being launched in conditions that helicopters traditionally can't launch in, whether it's fog or wind. They're cost effective. You can get a UAV for a couple $100 versus what it would cost to launch your own helicopter program. They're responsive with proper training. They're really easy to fly and maneuver, and they're versatile. You can even launch them indoors as we do on the SWAT team to help clear interiors and rooms and stuff like that. So our intended uses, there's a bunch of them. I kind of highlight some here, some right here. Search and rescue, as you're well aware, our city still has a lot of rural areas. I've lost track of the number of times we've had to send officers into the foothills up behind us to look for missing persons, lost hikers, people in need, and the UAV would help immensely in locating those persons. Missing persons, so elderly people who've walked away from home, kids, in residential neighborhoods, having a UAV look from above to the streets below, it just helps locate that person a lot faster versus just driving on surface streets. These are capable of mapping, so you can take mapping and upload it into a program to help with crime scene mapping or traffic scene reconstruction and in-progress calls, so hot calls. Irvine Police recently used a UAV. I don't know if you saw the video of that, but they had a robbery suspect in their city. They found the vehicle in a residential neighborhood, but they did not find the suspect, so they launched their UAV, started searching yards, and found him hiding in a backyard and kept their eyes on them until the officers eventually located him and took him into custody. There's lots of ways you can use these searches, business alarms, checking roofs where officers typically can't get to, tactical operations, and then special events, city birthdays, large-scale events where you can get a better situational awareness of what you're dealing with. Most importantly, in public concerns, I think this has been around long enough where they may not have been as big as they were back in 2019, but still want to get in front of this. Murrieta Police Department is not interested in spying on our residents. We're here to catch bad guys and keep the city safe. So as far as privacy, the use of UAS by our department will be conducted with the privacy rights of citizens as a key component of operations, and that's going to be directly in our policy. The use is narrow in scope, not for random patrols, so it'll be for legitimate law enforcement purposes when we deploy these, and each flight will be documented. So anytime a Murrieta Police Department deploys a UAS over the city, there will be documentation that goes along with that, and that will be subject to PRA and available to the public upon request. The use of these are guided by the FAA, like I said earlier, and their policies and procedures, which are, if you're not familiar, they're pretty strict, so we want to make sure we meet that threshold. These aren't weaponized, obviously, and any recorded images, they're kept in adherence to our existing policy, stored on servers here locally through our existing evidence.com, similar to our body cameras, and then subject to the same storage rules as those. And then lastly, like I said earlier, we're committed to ethical use. We want to be transparent. We want to launch this successful program to better the city and increase, the service we can offer to the residents of our city.
So just a couple questions that maybe you can bring back up here before we come to bring it back to the dais. With respect to storage of data, it would be the same as applicable to the flock systems that are available now that we're utilizing. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Mayor, because
the storage of the video that's obtained would be the same as the flock systems, where once something's stored, if it's not used for evidence, that it's erased after 30 days, or how long is it stored for?
So the video for this would be dependent on the circumstances. If it was, obviously evidence of a homicide or a crime, it would be subject to the same retention periods as that crime.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it would go up into evidence.com, same as our body camera footage,
Mm-hmm.
and then be subject to the same retention period there. Typically, a video that's not evidence or part of a case is gone away with in 2 years.
Right.
Is the limit for that.
The concern is just the storage of video data for a long duration of time and the expense that goes with it. So again, if it's not something that's pertinent, it's not something that's going to be stored for long duration. So we wind up using mega terabytes of information to store stuff that's never utilized.
Correct. 2 years is our kind of go-to right now before it drops off.
Right. And then the duration or the time in which it saves when we're responding versus, let's say we had to respond at the end of Clinton Keith and we had vehicles that were on this side versus sending up a drone to send it over there to assist the eyes on the ground. Because that was one of the issues we had with the Liberty Fire, was trying to coordinate and get air support so we could figure out what was going on logistically. Can you speak a little about how that's going to enhance our service to the public?
Yeah, the FAA will allow us, with an approved program, to launch with an observer. So as long as you have an observer with their eyes on the actual UAV, the pilot can launch and go, long distances from wherever, they're capable of, either the roof of the police department or further away. So as far as getting to the scene, as long as you meet those thresholds, you have an observer with their eyes on the UAV, then you can, get there as quick as you can get it up in the sky.
Right.
And as far as streaming video, there's a couple different options for that. But yeah, you could like, if an EOC activation, you stream that video back to the EOC for situational awareness there also.
Okay, fantastic. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the dais for comments and questions from my colleagues, starting with Councilmember Warren.
I mean, I take a drink of water, of course. That was a great presentation. I did have one question. How many officers will you have certified or trained in being able to use this new tool?
Still discussing with the chief. My pitch is going to be a team of 5, so 4 officers and 1 sergeant, all of them FAA certified and trained to deploy UAVs.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, Councilmember White.
I am excited to hear about this. I think it's definitely going to enhance our capabilities, and I'm very supportive of it. I really think and agree, one of your points was that it's very cost-effective and will definitely help in our rural areas. There's so many applications. To not add this as a valuable tool makes little to no sense. So thank you for the presentation. I'm very much in favor of it.
Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with my fellow colleagues. Anything that we can do to continue to be one of the safest cities in the nation, myself and my fellow colleagues will always support the police department. So thank you for bringing this forward tonight.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think this is a great idea. I've seen Riverside Sheriff use this technology as well with great officer safety, I think is very important, and this provides that. So thank you so much for bringing this forward. I'm very excited for this, and it being stored with the body camera footage, I also believe that that adds privacy for our residents, which I think is some concerns that have been brought up. Your presentation was spot on and gave us a lot of information, so thank you so much. One other question, will this also partner, will they be able to partner with fire? Say there was a fire a fire doesn't have drones, so would you also provide information to fire if they requested it?
I blew through that part. You covered one of my most important parts was, yes, we want to be available to our
Did
partners.
I miss it?
No, I missed it.
Oh,
Our partners at Fire, Public Works, any other city departments, we would love to be available for them, especially fire. There's a lot of use cases for fire that we would want to help them with also.
all right. Thank you so much. I thought I missed it. I'm glad I didn't.
It's a team.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a couple comments from you, Chief, on that and how it benefits the fire department, if you would.
Yeah, first I'd like to say thank you to PD for bringing this forward. I think that drones are going to be a game changer for the fire service like they are for law enforcement. With the fire service, we have water dropping capabilities brought to us by CAL FIRE and our neighboring agencies, but those can take a while to get up and they can take a while to get into our communities. So being able to get eyes on a situation right away gives us a lot of operational knowledge that we don't have. You use an example of the Liberty Fire, difficult area to access, difficult area to see where the fire started, which will tell us where the fire is going. So we do appreciate it. I know there's a lot of concern about drones use on wildland fires. Something to know is that we, as I understand it, we use FAA guidance. Anytime there is a fire anywhere that you add air attack to, the air attack puts up a temporary flight restriction around the fire. It's an FAA notification process that will ground the drone, so our drones wouldn't be an impedance to any aerial operations on the fire. So it's a win-win for the fire service to add something like this.
And it's flying at a much lower altitude, and I think that was one of the things that was intrigued was with the public information and public announcements to have the ability during an evacuation process to actually use that aircraft to help assist with the evacuation process. And that's something that it would certainly do, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm on board for this. Thank you, gentlemen. I think this is a great thing, and we appreciate you bringing it forward and look forward to seeing it happen.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, our second presentation tonight will be from Laura Frasso, and she's going to just provide an update on special events.
Good evening, Laura.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. As you know, I'm Laura Frasso, Senior Recreation Coordinator over Special Events. and I'm here tonight to present on some of the special events we have coming up in the city in both October and November. October 7th and 8th, the Murrieta Rod Run will be held in downtown Murrieta. Friday evening is their cruise, and Saturday is their show and shine. It does bring a lot of people down to downtown Murrieta, which we're excited about. The show is put on by the Drifters Car Club, and it benefits Oak Grove Center in Murrieta. On October 9th, the Susan G. Komen More Than Pink Walk will be at Town Square Park. That's a great event that most people in the community definitely stand behind, and we're looking forward to City Hall turning pink in the month of October as well. On October 29th, in conjunction with the Murrieta Police Department, we'll be having a trunk or treat at Town Square Park with various city departments as well as public safety booths. And then we will show the 1984 version of the movie Ghostbusters at the Town Square Park Amphitheater. On November 11th, the city will celebrate its 20th Veterans Day Parade. Step off will be at 10 a.m. The parade will start at Ivy in Washington and will conclude at Town Square Park with the Field of Honor. Speaking of the Field of Honor, the Rotary Club of Murrieta will have over 2,022 full-sized flags at Town Square Park from November 5th to the 13th. You could refly a flag you've already purchased, or purchase a flag in honor or in memory of someone who served in the military. And that's a lot going on here in October and November. We're rather excited about it. At this time, I'm here to take any questions you have in regards to events in October or November.
We're going to go ahead and start with Councilmember White.
Thank you for your report. It's nice to see you. It's been a while since you've given a report, so we're glad to have you here as always. And your events are always popular and part of the community and well attended. And I still can't believe how successful the trunk or treat with the movie was last year. We were coming out of COVID for 2 years, and the number of people, Dr. DeForest and I, and Mayor Vinton were there, and it was packed wall to wall with trick-or-treaters, children, families, and every city department of staff built a booth that was creative and fun and had a theme, and the community came together. It was a blast. Do you anticipate this year's trunk or treat being similar in the scope and attendance?
Yes, we anticipate more people, and we have been meeting with the Murrieta Police Department representatives. We'll be purchasing more candy this year and little treats and things. So we kind of learned a lot last year about the flow and how many people. We're probably not going to do the game aspect because it did slow things down a little bit. But yeah, we got way more people than we anticipated, so we are looking ahead to fulfill those needs a little different this year, but it will be probably bigger and better every year.
Well, that's something admirable about what you do, is not only is this the second one, but you learn from the first one to make this one even better. So I'm looking forward to it and all these great events, and thanks for your report.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much, Laura, for your dedication to our city, and I love all these events, and it'll be my second year participating in each and every one of these, except for the trunk or treat movie, because I will be out of town. But very, very much appreciate your entire team and all the events that you present for our residents in Murrieta. So thank you so much.
Councilmember Warren.
Great report as always. You do such a great job bringing this community together, and that is such a wonderful thing that you do. What a lineup you have for us. I'm excited, and I look forward to attending and cheering everybody on that's working so hard to put this together. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I concur with my fellow colleagues and is super excited of the 20th Annual Veterans Day Parade. It's always amazing to see so many people out. I absolutely love that event. One day I want to ride my camel in that event. So thank you, Laura, for all your hard work, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That would be very cool. I would be supportive of that. That's pretty neat, Mayor. I like that. Laura, one question regarding Santa stops. People were talking about this. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, if you would, please?
I don't have too many answers because we're really just talking about October and November events.
But I've gotten a lot of calls on it.
Yes. We're meeting and we're discussing and we're trying to figure out what we're able to bring to the community. So stuff will be happening in
Okay.
December, but we're not quite sure what.
And the question was, will we be providing a map or something online where people can go should the stops be further apart?
Whatever we decide, there will definitely be maps and there will definitely be information to the community.
Very good.
We just aren't sure what yet.
And thank you for all you do. I know how many hats you wear and how busy you are constantly. And
I'm going to give you a round of applause.
thank you. All right, we're going to move into governing body commission announcements, starting with Councilmember White.
I did present my slides to our city clerk, but there's nothing really to go over, nothing actionable or necessary to announce. The information is on the website, and my announcements carry the website URL for anyone who wants to look at it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the monthly WRCOG meeting, and I have nothing to report out at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I had the honor of representing the city of Murrieta at the California League of Cities with a lot of our staff members. I did learn a lot. I was a voting delegate, and I wanted to report that there were administrative changes to the bylaws. The motion passed, and a resolution regarding local control was presented and sent to a committee for further review. That motion also passed. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me the time.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the RCTC meeting. Just want to report that the Mid-County Parkway is moving forward in Phase 3, and they're pushing that very fast, considering government speed. So that was really good news. And then I attended the RCHCA, and they now have an agreement with the U.S. Wildlife Association, and they are going to have the largest wide-range survey ever planned for an endangered species. So that is going to go on in the next 2 months. So thank you. That's all I have to report.
Okay, I attended all my calendared meetings and standard meetings. We did have one update from RCA, from Congresswoman Feinstein. She's created a companion bill that it looks like it's made it through committee regarding assemblage of Federal Reserve land in the county. We have approximately between 60 and 65,000 acres that we're trying to finish on the 1.5 million acres that we've set aside for open space for perpetuity. And so this would add to that assemblage through the federal government and its means, along with Congressman Calvert's bill. So keep your eyes open for that. It'll be a great thing to be able to wrap up the MSHEP and get it into the management phase for perpetuity. On that note, Madam City Clerk, public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now is the time for public comment. Any person may address the governing bodies on any subject matter pertaining to city business. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the governing bodies on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Brenda Denstead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Members of the council, city staff, members of the community. Brenda Denstead, Western Municipal Water District. I am currently the board president, and I am your representative locally here. And as promised last time, I came back with slides. So very important agreement that is going before our board tomorrow, and I believe it's also on Eastern Municipal Water District's board meeting for tomorrow for approval. It will then go off to Metropolitan. So this is for the extension of the agreement for the 31st Fringe agreement with Metropolitan. Why does this matter to you? You can go ahead and move to the next slide. So these are the parties that are involved. This is an agreement that will actually allow all of these areas, especially down in your Jefferson Corridor, your Innovation Center, to be able to receive water. So people that have water already currently hooked up in Murrieta have already paid their fees and they've annexed in to receive that service. And we have a lot of parcels that are still unserviced at this point in time and have not paid their fees to annex into that area. So what does this agreement do? Well, it was getting ready to twilight in 2025. And so we have now done an extension of that agreement to 2035 to allow those businesses to afford the opportunity to be able to pay their annexation fees and get water service availability. Because without that, none of the water agencies, whether it be Western, Eastern, or Rancho California Water District, would ever be able to provide water for that area. So this is a very, very important piece of the component for your innovation center down there for folks to be able to connect to those municipal services. If you can move to the next slide. So these are the outstanding, the parcels that you see in the orange color are the unpaid parcels. Some of those folks over there on the west side, on those larger parcels, they have wells and they're dependent upon themselves for their own water service and have not yet paid in to receive municipal service. So they do have that opportunity somewhere down the road should their well unfortunately run dry. There are approximately 568 remaining parcels left to be considered. So it's about $13 million left for annexation fees to be paid in. So we want to make sure that you guys are aware that this agreement is going forward. It's going to be on my agenda for tomorrow I expect that to be passed with flying colors. And we're looking for a letter of support from the City Council to go to Metropolitan. As your Metropolitan representative, I'm not allowed to advocate for anything that is involving our agency. So I'm looking for my partners to write letters of support. We'll look for a letter from the Chamber of Commerce as well in order to support that agreement so that Metropolitan's board understands how important this actually is. And this is a one-of-a-kind agreement. In all of Metropolitan's service area in 6 counties, this is the only one of its kind. So with that, I am happy to be your representative and present you with this as promised. This is a very important piece for your city and your future development for that area. And I thank you so much for the time tonight. Again, Brenda Denstead, Western Municipal Water District.
So Representative Denstead, first thing is to the city manager, can you please inform Mr. Lacasella to get that and then present it to the council for the council's approval?
Yes,
on that letter.
We'll do that, Mr. Mayor.
Sooner than later, if possible. The next thing is, can you elaborate just a little on the annexation process and how this all came about? Because this has always been concerning, and we've worked together for 8 years on getting this to move forward. So I'm very happy and thank you for your diligence on this. It's very important for our city, but also for the region from an improvement standpoint. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that we let everyone know is that because you have a well, that you're not impacted, because a lot of people are thinking, well, there's going to be some type of impact.
That's correct.
Because I have a well. Can you explain that, if you would, just a little?
Yeah, this
please?
doesn't affect any of the property owners over on the west side that have their own independent well. This is simply for them to be able to connect to municipal service should they choose to do that in the future. If for some reason there's something that happens with their well, it runs dry, they end up having to drill further down into the aquifer, a variety of different problems. We recommend that people test those wells on a regular basis to make sure that their quality of water is to the standard that they want for drinking and for providing for their livestock and things that are over there on those larger parcels. But yes, this agreement won't affect anybody that has a well. This is simply to connect to the municipal service in that area that hasn't already connected to that. So, and one of the things too that I want to make sure that the city is aware of, that as you're developing and you have your folks coming in, there is an application fee that's about $5,000. It is not paid to us. We are simply a pass-through. It's going to Metropolitan to process all those. And it doesn't matter how many people are in the application. So if you guys can get everybody to collectively pay all their fees together, they can pay one application fee and end up saving themselves money instead of each one of them paying that $5,000. So I think that's really important for you to share with the folks that want to develop over in that property.
Let's repeat the number, 500 and what parcels?
There
in-
are
in that
remaining,
portion of the
so,
district?
so when we originally did this agreement back in 1999 with the Murrieta County Water District, there were 1,153 parcels. As of 2019, 585 have annexed in to receive metropolitan service, and 568 remain outstanding. So that is what we're hoping to bring in and make sure that you guys can bring that development over there so they can hook up to municipal service.
And if possible, and maybe get consensus from my colleagues on this, for the water district to draft, some information to provide to us that maybe we could distribute to residents to know that if they have the opportunity to do this annexation and to get it under that one application, that would probably be beneficial to everyone. Would you agree with that?
For your developers, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely, Tim Barr is in direct contact with Ivan Holler, so they constantly communicate over these things, and we're happy to help and assist in any way we can to provide information to your development, and especially in that corridor, because I know you guys are really spending a lot of dollars over there to try to bring that up and bring everybody in with their projects.
Last but not least, the blanket annexation, so people understand the difference between when the metropolitan annexed the land versus the fees that were paid. Because there's always that big distinction. They go, well, we were annexed into the metropolitan, but the fees were never paid.
Correct. So this agreement allows for everybody the opportunity to be able to connect independently. So normally the way that Metropolitan does it is this is an annexation of an entire area all at once. So all of those fees back then, which was well over $10 million, that would have had to have been paid all at once in order for everybody to receive that service.
Right. All right. Any questions for my colleagues? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a good evening.
Okay, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Camber Rutz.
Hello, good evening. My name is Camber Rutz. I live at 25715 Hayes Avenue. I have been a resident in Murrieta since before Murrieta was a city, 43 years. I'm addressing the council tonight in regards of the Equestrian Center. September 5th, the Fairview fire started. By September 8th, I was pursuing Lori Stone, you, Mr. Mayor, on what it would take to get the chains off the gates at the Equestrian Center to aid in the evacuation of the horses. This is not the first, second, third, or fourth time that this has happened in the horse community. So I'm standing here totally out of my comfort zone saying, what is it going to take for the council to set a policy that opens the Equestrian Center automatically? The city is waiting for an official phone call to provide the service. But if the city has a consistency plan in order, then the city can make that phone call. You don't need the official phone call. On the morning of the 8th, I spoke to you, Mr. Mayor, and Lori Stone, who referred me to Brian Ambrose. And they went through trying to explain to me what are the avenues. And I clearly said, I do not understand. And I still don't understand. The city has an opportunity to open up the gates automatically. So whenever there is a fire and there is chaos and there is confusion, which occurred, they know they have a safe place to go. Granted, it's only 16 corrals, but there was 24 horses over this last Fairview fire. So I'm asking, what is it going to take to get a plan in order so that the city has a great opportunity just for the equestrian community?
Mr. Haller, can we set up an appointment and talk about maybe when the EOC is activated, that we have a policy or a procedure that may be put in place?
We can, Mr. Mayor, although this evening I would ask that Chief Malloy maybe talk with you in the lobby, and Chief Malloy can fill you in on how the incident command system works when we have a fire and what our obligations are. Chief Malloy, if you wouldn't mind, sir.
I have a question, please.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can someone explain to me if the Equestrian Center is a public facility? I was unaware that it was locked at any time. Can someone shed light on why there was a lock?
So as I understand it, and I don't know if Leah is still here, but as I understand it, the gate is locked in the evenings, but we would certainly be able to unlock the gate for public access. Really, it's a public facility. So that is something that should have been done.
Okay. And I have other questions and comments, but seeing that this is public comment section where we don't normally, from the dais, because it's a non-agendized item, entertain comments and questions, so I'll hold my questions for later, other than the one about the gate being locked in the first place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just for the public's edification, it was opened. There are also structures and other things on the property, and that's something that we're going to have to take a look at in the future that we probably, please, if you would.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. So the community center operates as any other park. Opens at sunrise, closes at sunset.
And that's regarding the areas for the training, and the corrals are separate.
The
Right.
Juniper Hills
Yeah.
is a tenant, so that we have a separate agreement with them.
Correct. So that would be for the training portion of the facility that's accessible from sunrise to sunset, is that correct?
Correct. So the main arena, the small arena, and the dressage arena, and the other activities or amenities in the park, the horseshoe pits and so on, are available to the public sunrise to sunset.
Right. In the area where the private corrals are, next to the structures and stuff, that's been closed off for a multitude of reasons, but because the structure is an older structure that hasn't been inhabited now for.
So we have, yes, we have an agreement with Juniper Hills, and they close off their facilities during whatever operating hours that they have.
Okay. Okay. We're not going to ask any more questions at this time because
Okay.
it's not agendized. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. All right, Madam City Clerk.
That concludes public comments, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, as everyone, Madam City Clerk, you had something on the consent calendar that needed to be amended?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to note for the record that I did have to amend the September 6th minutes, which are in front of you there. There was a correction to the vote, so I apologize for that. The amended version has been provided to you, and it is available for public review. So I just ask that whoever makes the motion does so as amended.
Okay. So are there any questions regarding the consent calendar items 1 through 6? Hearing none, looking for a motion.
Well, we would have to do a verbal motion in order to amend the minutes as
You would
stated
make-
by staff?
You would make the motion and then add that it's the amended, that you're.
The motion is on the computer, sir.
I make the motion with the amendment.
Thank you.
I've made the correction on your screen, so it actually says as amended, but thank you
Thank
for
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yes, uh-huh.
Thank
Mr. Mayor?
I'm stuck.
He's,
There it goes.
he was blacked out.
There he goes.
He was stuck.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Okay. Okay, item number 7, staff presentation. Good evening, Mr. Carcamo.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, and City Council members. Javier Carcamo, Director of Finance. And with me tonight is Mr. Bryce Wilson with the City Manager's Office. Tonight, we're going to go ahead and provide you a quick presentation on item number 7. So as you know, the Murrieta City Hall was constructed back in 2007, and this building now is approximately 15 years old. A couple years ago, as the facility was starting to show some normal wear and tear considering its age, the city embarked on a project to address exterior aging of the facility, like painting and wood repairs. The interior of the facility is also in need of improvements to address wear and tear, including replacement of the flooring materials, paint, and cubicle furniture. Based on a combination of positions that have been vacant the past few years and due to the city's growth as a community over the past 15 years, we are currently in the midst of hiring and filling long-time needed staff positions to help meet the city's needs to providing services to the public. Therefore, coinciding with the need to replace office furniture in order to have workspace for these additional employees, we are also designing furniture in such a way to accommodate additional employees. Presently, there are 90 workstations, and with the new design, we will have 98. This does not include the private offices workspaces, which are not being replaced at this point in time. The new furniture design makes more efficient use of space, while at the same time also provide additional storage for each workstation and general work areas, as well as more ergonomic office furniture with adjustable height desk. This slide shows a sample of what the new workstation design would look like. And as I mentioned, each space includes a desk that can be adjusted up and down so an employee can work while standing up or sitting down. Implementing ergonomic solutions such as an adjustable workstations can make employees more comfortable and increase productivity. The item before you this evening requests authorization to proceed with the purchase of a new furniture through GN Business Interiors. GN Business Interiors was identified for this purchase based off a competitive bid that they were successfully awarded by the County of Riverside. The City of Murrieta purchasing rules set forth in the Municipal Code Section 3.08.295 allows for cooperative purchasing arrangements such as this, which is what we call piggyback contracts, wherein the vendor is matching the pricing for the City of Murrieta with the pricing of another contract that they were awarded through a public bidding process from another public agency. At the last City Council meeting on September 6th, the City Council authorized the purchase of the flooring material. Painting of the building interior has been occurring incrementally, with many of the common areas already completed. The remaining painting is generally in the employee work areas, some of which is on walls that are presently blocked by the existing furniture. Because of the scope of this project to replace nearly all of the interior work area flooring, the furniture, and the painting, it's a rather large project involving the workspace for over 120 employees. To minimize the impact on the public and the workflow productivity of all employees, we're targeting to complete this work at the end of the calendar year 2022 to coincide with the holidays when City Hall is scheduled to be closed for a week. Many employees take time off, and requests for services from the public generally slow down during this time. In order to meet the timeline, due to the long lead time of the furniture production, The city needs to place its order by the end of this month. We are in the final stage of finalizing the furniture system design with GM Business Interiors, and the estimated cost of the purchase is $1.3 million. This includes the design of the new furniture configuration, manufacturing and delivery of the new furniture for 98 workstations and accessory items like filing storage and the 2 conference pods, the assembly, removal, and recycling of the existing furniture, and installation and assembly of the new furniture. As part of the capital improvement project budget last month approved by council, CAP 10043 included $1.3 million for this project. The purchase and installation of the furniture, including all of the scope of the work stated in the prior slide, is estimated to cost $1.3 million. $312,000 was previously authorized by the City Council for the purchase and installation of flooring. And therefore, staff recommend that the City Council appropriate an additional $312,000 from Measure T and assign fund balance to CAP 10043 for the City Hall Improvement Project, bringing the total budget for this CAP project to $1,612,000. At the time the budget was originally set for this CAP project, the furniture design was not yet completed, so therefore it was a very rough estimate. Based on the scope of this work, there are several other critical cost elements that are still needed to be factored in, for which we will be returning to you, City Council, in the near future once those costs are specifically determined. This includes electrician services to connect to the modular furniture and the new printer locations, network cabling services to remove the existing cable from the current furniture and install the new furniture, and moving services and temporary storage, since this project will temporarily move several items like chairs, files, and other items out of the building, although it will be staged and phased in a way that has it more like moving around within the building. So as we near the end of the year, there will be more information of the timing for the implementation of this project, but we want council to be assured that our goal is to make this as seamless as possible for the public, for staff, and we're working on developing a plan for how to best achieve that. Primarily, this project will address the long-awaited deferred maintenance on the City Hall building with over 15 years with the same wall paint, same carpet, and same cubicles. It also would accommodate the additional workforce by creating additional workspace. It's going to optimize the work areas and storage files. And lastly, we'll create an ergonomic working environment for our employees. In conclusion, the recommended action for tonight is for City Council to adopt Resolution 22-4616, authorizing city managers to execute an agreement for this purchase with GM Business Interiors in a form as approved by the city attorney, and appropriate $312,000 from Measure T and assign fund balance to CAP 10043, so there are sufficient funds for this purchase. With that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back to the dais for questions. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ivan, is this a true statement that the majority of our furniture actually came from our original building where the Innovation Center resides now?
I don't know I don't know the answer to that question unless Mr. Wilson or Carcamo, do you know the answer to that question?
I do not know the answer to that question,
Okay.
Councilmember Stone.
I would be more inclined to think that because it fits in this building, that it was purchased at the time the building was open to the public.
In City Hall, we've been in this building for how long?
15 years.
So 15 years. I don't know where, thank you for the clarification, Patrick, but I was told that some of the furniture had come from the original, but no. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Can we go into comments, or are we going to wait for comments?
Let's go ahead and finish the question, and we can make comments. Councilmember Warren,
I have no comments or questions at this time. Thank you.
Councilmember White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Wilson, it's nice to see you here tonight. I think you were brought to answer all the questions, so we'll try to give you a few. But nice to see you here in front of council. So these are filling vacancies or the city is in the process of filling vacancies and adding new staff. I know we are packed in City Hall to the rafters. There's not enough storage space. The employees are really on top of each other, and it's been a challenge. So in addition to the 8 new cubicles, I think we're reducing space as we're rehabbing. Is that, we're making the cubicle space, modular spaces smaller?
That's correct. So the current size of our cubicle will go smaller to accommodate the additional 8 cubicles, as well as 2 additional conference pods.
Like our last meeting, we're increasing density in a very similar amount of space. I think I also understood from the staff report that they're adding 2 conference pods, and meeting rooms can be, for work groups, a hard thing sometimes to schedule when our larger conference rooms are being used by staff for formal meetings. So I just want to add that we're adding those 2 conference pods as part of the 8 cubicles. And I'm sure as we replace other desks throughout all of the departments, including police and fire, it would only make sense to look at upgrading based on wear and tear, and that it's time for desks and module components to be replaced, that we would look to upgrade, as would probably become standard, ergonomically designed desks. So those that are receiving those will be probably feeling really great that they can stand while they're working during their workday, or they can sit, and probably other people will be envious of that. But in due time, I'm sure council will be interested, along with city staff, to upgrade ergonomic desks and give employees options. And then lastly, I'm just, having been here when Measure T was passed, and that we promised accountability and transparency. These funds are coming through Measure T funds, and it's just, and rather than putting this on the consent calendar as might be typical, we are specifically highlighting that, and we're keeping our promise. So those are my comments and questions. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation, and I do have some comments along with Ms. Stone.
Okay, just a few questions here. So we allocated, and you might elaborate on this a little, Mr. Haller. We allocated funds for this 2 years ago. We were looking at this. We've waited quite a while. We've used the lifespan of the carpet that we have here. I was told that that desks and other things from the previous city hall were utilized here in culmination with the stuff that was ordered. Also, I remember that when we sat down and we started looking at this and doing RFPs, that we knew that there was going to be a duration which we would probably come back and have these additional costs. We also had discussed at that time, looking at the repairs that we needed to do overall on all the city buildings, including our fire departments, the upgrades that needed to be done as forth as bathrooms, repairs that we need to do, and also accommodating what we might need in City Hall for the additional employee load that we're looking at. And right now we're looking at hiring how many people, Mr. Haller?
Well, we have space for 8, but we have more hiring that's scheduled to occur. I don't know, Javier, if you know the exact number.
The number, I'm sorry, the number of vacant positions
Yes.
currently?
Yes.
So I believe we currently have about 60, of which about 30 already are in the process.
Right.
And the final process in the hiring process.
So as you see, we have a need for space, and it's been a long time coming for that infusion for repairs on our public structures and the buildings in which our people work, live in, and perform services on a daily basis. So I think this is something we're going to move forward on. With regard to the electrical and networking, that is just the labor portion, because most of this already has a built-in walker duct system in this, where they're going to be pulling communication and the electrical and stuff into. Is that correct, Mr. Haller?
That is correct.
So that what we're looking at is, once they get it assembled, what the labor portion is going to be on this. And so you'll be seeing over, well, this will be my last year, but you're going to have stuff coming forward on all of our public structures that are needing repair. I also believe that we just went out for RFP for the sewer for Station 1 as well. Is that correct?
I don't know if Chief Malloy is shaking his head. We're also, thank you, and we're also doing some survey work now for the Public Works Yard, so we're starting to embark on those types of things, because the facilities are, been around for a while.
They're in need. All right, so on that note, any closing comments? Councilmember White?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Warren?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Stone?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you to staff for this presentation. And what the mayor alluded to is, this is one of many projects that we need to move forward on. Our fire stations and other buildings that we have, and other CIP projects. So this is the first of many. We definitely have outgrown and are outgrowing our current city hall. And I commend you for doing what you've done with the amount of space. I mean, while it doesn't sound like a lot, 8 stations is very crucial for us right now. And I believe, Mr. Mayor, at the very beginning, when I was elected, that our city manager had talked about we needed to hire 50 people. And the fact that we have 30 in the queue coming on, that's fantastic. But I definitely foresee us either expanding or even moving out of this building probably in the next decade. Would you agree to that, Mr. Carcamo?
Certainly, certainly I agree with your comment. I think this, for now, will alleviate the need for space.
Yes.
But at some point in time, we'll most likely we'll need to start looking at expanded city hall with another building.
Absolutely. That's it for my comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Councilwoman Stone. I concur with what you just said. I'd just like to piggyback on also adding those working pods. I think are very important, because we know how we collaborate here in the city together as groups. I think those conference or collaboration rooms, whatever those pods are called. Also, I'd also on another note, just for a quality of life for our employees, the standing sitting desk. I must write 10 letters a week for patients for a standing sitting desk, and actually getting to use one today in our new office was very nice, to be able to stand and to work on the computer and not worry about anything falling, and a nice desk. So thank you for doing that, and I hope that reduces any type of workers' comp for back injuries that we may have as well. So thank you for this, and I concur with my fellow colleagues, and bring it back to our illustrious mayor.
I think we've gone down every road possible. The only thing is that once we accomplish this, we need to be looking at the remaining portions of the repairs that we're doing citywide. I think that's very important to me. They've been a long time coming, and I want to make sure that everybody's treated equitably. On that note, we're going to bring it back up to the dais, or for a motion if there. Well, is there any public comment at this time, Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no public comment.
Okay. Having said that, I'm going to bring it back to my colleagues for a motion. This thing is responding slow tonight on mine.
Councilmember Stone, can you vote? That's okay.
I thought all I had to
do is make the motion.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Okay, thank you, staff. All right, so governing body announcements. We're going to go ahead and start with Councilmember Warren.
Mayor,
Mhm.
I have been very busy. We're going to go back to, I was very busy in the month of August and have attended several events in the city. One of them, I will let you know that our police department's chief, Tony Conrad, and Scott Aghiajanian, our economic development director, accompanied me at the Knowles Women's Lunch Society, and they were a huge hit. Huge hit. So I want to thank them publicly for doing that. And I do know that Chief Malloy is joining me this month, so thank you so very much. I enjoyed meeting with the representative from Susan G. Komen Foundation and look forward to that being a successful event. The state of the city was superb. Loved it. Thank you so much, Mayor. It was a great job. And busy again in September, and I'm looking forward to what October brings. Thank you so much.
Okay. Councilmember Stone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and in a moment you will see my governing body announcements, and you can review them on the website, and there are 2 items that I would like to share with you. Mayor Ingram and Chief Conrad will be joining me at our amphitheater on October the 1st. I think that there might be, is there a flyer to show? There we go. And we are partnering with Michelle's Place for a live human pink ribbon in our amphitheater. So we encourage you all to come out, wear pink from head to toe. I also would like to commend our mayor and our team for an exceptional state of the city. Other than I'm a little upset by the weather, so I don't know why you didn't have a conversation with God about 110-degree weather in Murrieta in, what was it, August, yes. So it was absolutely fantastic. So congratulations on your very last day of the city. It was wonderful to be in Murrieta Hot Springs. I think most of you know that at 14 years old, I moved to Murrieta Hot Springs. I actually lived there, so to go back and be on the property was very exciting for me. And then lastly, I wanted to thank Leah and Caesar and Mark and the entire team for opening up the Equestrian Center for the Fairview Fire for the rescue horses. It's not an easy task just to open up a facility. One of the issues that we had out there was water. There's a well there, and the well provides water to the surrounding homes, and we needed to have some infrastructure put in place before we opened up the equestrian. One of them was water. Secondly was if the horses were going to spend the night, we didn't have the capacity of having staff on the premises. And so that was another logistical issue, is making sure that the horses were not left alone. And also having hay. Just having hay, having big barrels to put the water in. So there were a lot of logistical issues that had to come into play. And again, I really want to thank Leah for stepping up to the plate and her entire team and making that happen for the horse rescues in Temecula. The majority of the horses did come from Temecula. So again, thank you. That concludes my governing body announcements, Mr. Mayor.
You slid past your 3-minute marker there. I'll donate some of my time. Councilmember White.
A reminder, Mayor, it's 2 minutes on GPS.
2 minutes. There we go. Thank you, Madam City Clerk. It's 2 minutes.
Did you call me Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing actually to report out, but did file my report, so they'll be available on the website. And thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You can file and report. What I did, September was pretty busy. Just want to do a shout out for the state of the city as well. It was an amazing event, and to be at, I think what an honor for our mayor to open up the Murrieta Hot Springs Resort was the coolest thing ever, and never will forget that. So that was amazing. Thank you for that. And Also, I was thinking that our videos, including maybe the State of the City video, could go out there. So just, on a little note. And also, as someone in the audience is a grandpa for the first time, David, so. Happy grandpa. So that is all I have for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Back to
You're
you.
welcome. Wow, that's totally cool, David. Best thing that ever happened to me is being a grandpa, for sure. You're going to find that you're much better at being a grandpa than a parent because you actually possess the owner's manual, right? So you kind of built your own and your grandkids are going to just adore you because you have a common enemy, your children, right? So it's the best part of my life, undoubtedly. I'm going to just use the last 30 seconds to say a big thank you to our chiefs for just knocking it out of the park at State of the City. Great job, Chief Bernie. It's just amazing to have you on board here. And Tony, he's just an amazing guy. And our fire department for everything they did. And definitely everybody tolerating the heat, all the vendors. And certainly Mr. Ellis and his staff for all that they did there. Great job. And last but not least, none of this would have happened if it had not been for Dominique Samario, our Super Mario, who just worked endlessly to actually just, I don't know what to say because I've just watched you and I was like, oh gosh, I try to keep up with her and she wears me out. She just never stops. So thank you for everything that you did for that. And by the way, I think, Mr. Ellis, we knocked it out of the park with attendance, didn't we? I think we broke some records, didn't we? And so on that note, if you need any questions on any of the multiple events that I attend and or meetings, please look at our website or my calendar is also public. So you're more than welcome to look at it and ask me any questions. On that note, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Have a nice, God bless you. Drive safe.